which way we can see some similarities, or to understand the process that is happening or that is not happening. On the contrary, 2 years ago, no, it's almost 3 years ago, when we joined forces for the first time with the Visegrad project, which focused primarily on the okay, now can I say Macedonian or North Macedonian? Oh. So the dynamics between North Macedonia and Bulgaria, from the perspective of from Skopje, and actually, if I remember correctly, the contribution, or the paper I wrote within the project, was to see the drivers of the bilateral relations, not in the way that there is, externally pushed from the EU or the delegation saying you should do this, you should do that. We will be talking about the good relations, the neighboring relations agreemental framework, or the annexes or the protocols. This is basically something that is from my perspective, creating some kind of tools why things not to be progressed ahead. Because I will make the point here. So just as one more disclaimer, I will make a point from what we have just briefly talked about, the relations, the bilateral relations, and how they are not just the bilateral relations, but how the relations and the narratives in the region are fueled with certain interests. And then I will demonstrate this in the case of the Czech Republic, and the case that I want to share. That is related also, that is not related primarily to the Western Balkans, but to Ukraine as a source of the narratives, the source of the story, either disinformation or the creating the information space. We can distinguish that, and then I will get back to the Western Balkans, or to North Macedonia. So I have, since I have quite a lot of time, so it's like a privilege to put it together. If I'm going too much to many sidelines, please interrupt me, because it happens quite frequently. So please, keep me in line for the purpose. So I will go back to 3 years ago when I wrote the paper. My argument was that we are not moving ahead within the bilateral relations, because the relations are not, I would call it, democratized, or the relations are not shaped by many smaller actors from civil society, business, media, political landscape, because the relations, and this we can apply that to Serbia, and but primarily to Bulgaria, that these relations are held tightly by we can call it system, we can call it the tycoons, we can call it by I think the system is better. That on both sides there is a strong interest not to fill up the relation with certain narratives, but to keep the structure. And to keep the structure means that we can demonstrate it in case of the political parties here in Macedonia or Bulgaria, regardless the key personalities, because it's not that much relevant, or we don't see that much bravery, because bravery is not praised here in the region in terms of pushing. We saw it in case of Kirill Petkov, that tried and failed in a way, like succeeded, but for sake of his political career he failed. So what we see, that there is a primarily economic structure that benefits from from the fact that the relations are kept in the close circles of economic interest that fuels the political, that fuels the political narratives. And the political narratives are now what we see in past year and a half. They are what is the content of relations between North Macedonia and Bulgaria. It's status quo. It's empty. You know, there is nothing in the relations. So either there is an interest to be like that, or on the contrary, there are economic interest that has been in place for decades almost, which means that the in a way closed circle of institutions, players are benefit from the fact that the relations are kept tight, like it's in the system way, and that new players are not coming in. They are the bilateral relations are not that there is very little progress in a way to let people, let NGOs, let business to shape the relations by its own natural interest. And what we are experiencing is that from one side, the North Macedonia is pushed to do whatever it takes to progress in the integration process. At the same time, the political system or the political representatives are clearly saying we don't want that. There is very limited interest to go to continue the same political path that was happening that culminated in 2001, 2002. There is simply the political demand for such to continue this policy is simply not existing in the country anymore. There are no liberal forces that would be advocating for continuing this policy. And what we experienced since the French proposal, there is only the very mixed signals from the Brussels saying Montenegro and Albania are progressing perfectly. They should be awarded for their great work. Macedonia is not being mentioned in the let's say in the same sentence or in the same package that should be progressing with the European integration. And at the same time, from Germany, France, Netherlands, we see that the signals are pretty clear. There is some sort of differentiated enlargement. There is not full membership, but associate membership, joining, pushing alignment with the political requirements, but not having the same rights as the members of the European Union. So we see like total erosion of what is the European enlargement narrative about. There is it simply got eroded in the way that if Mickoski today says we are stopping the integration enlargement process, he would not say it, but in a way the non-policy towards the enlargement or towards the issues is basically unintentionally saying so. Will be there any protests in the city? I would say no. So this is like perfect from the whatever happens in the also in the context of the enlargement process. It's
the focus potential in North Macedonia at this moment is very low for anything. But not only that, but for anything.
Which means that as Angela Merkel was using this strategy 20 years ago of non-engaging or not pushing for conflict, that we see that basically what we see here is, in a way, the perfect environment for status quo.
Yeah.
Primarily for when it comes to the shaping the information space, it's the perfect status quo for whoever wants to shape it is here. It's like when if I was in a position to advise the next moves when it comes to the political players, this is a perfect space where the battlefield or the information space is basically free to be used in whatever way. Now I'm making the point with the Czech Republic, the case in the Czech Republic. It's I would just a piece of context. I was thinking how to prepare the paper, how to bring some new ideas or some new arguments into the discussion, because many things have been said, many things have been done, I think it's quite hard but yet valuable to come up with something that maybe I'm wrong, so feel free to correct me. So the point is following. We have players in the. No, I would say it differently. The Russian aggression towards Ukraine showed two things. The first is that how the Czech society has reacted in a way, in like very supportive way, and at the same time how the story of Ukraine and the Russian aggression towards Ukraine is translated into the political action and into the way how the narratives are shaped and created. And I'm in the paper, I'm focusing on two personalities, and I will just here add the context. In the Czech Republic, there was with the change of the communist regime in late 80s and early 90s, and just a disclaimer, please, those who know me, I'm very far from being a conspiracy theorist or something that would be labeled as the conspiracy. But what we see here, or what we are experiencing, and what is unfortunately very much under researched as a structure, we see that the key players of creating the information space or the narrative or the social demand are not those, obviously, not only the political representatives who are shaping the political space. Obviously, they get they got legitimacy through the elections. It's the basic trust in the system that we live in. So, like, okay, no point here, but my point goes to the fact that if we look closely to those who are shapers of this information space, we see people who emerged from the network of confidence or agents of the former communist intelligence, state security, STB, who were not the front runners of the media and the political interest, because they were, or they have been for decades, invisible to the broader audience from one very simple fact: they were in archives material. So the archive materials of the state security has been opened roughly 10 years ago, has been digitalized, and many of those elements are not covered yet because they are not sorted out properly and many files have been destroyed at the late 1998, or because they knew that there will be need of people with no track record when it comes to the collaboration with the state security. But I have got into this topic because for two reasons. The first is we collaborate for some time, so you know that I was always focusing on what are the drivers, what is the motivation behind the process. So how to understand the way it is shaped on one hand, and the second at the same time. I have started collaboration with a university professor who is working with the archive materials. So we are, we joined forces to understand the logic. And if we are looking into the archive materials, that we see that there is a continuity of companies, entities, people who were tasked in 80s to be operating primarily in the West, UK, US, Germany, India, etc., etc., and who, in case of them, there is not clear if they stopped being loyal to the system or to the institutions, or what is their way in what is their story in 90s. And there is one very crucial moment in early 90s. These people and these companies, they appeared in the commercial register. As here in Macedonia, you can basically many information are freely accessible right now as well. But the extent of getting data through the commercial register in the Czech Republic is much higher. You can see the history basically to the first moment when the entities have been created. You see the whole track record of them from the early 90s. So what we have done, we have compared the emerge of those people who were loyal to the communist regime in late 80s, their appearance in the commercial register in early 90s after the regime change, and their track record of activities throughout the privatization process, the transformation process, and the shaping the demand for change, and not the shaping the demand for certain narratives. And we have identified several people who became throughout the time who positioned themselves as philanthropists, as public intellectuals, as personalities who basically are supporting financial political parties openly, and they are very open about that because they are supporting the democratic political parties, they are supporting the liberal democracy, etc., etc. And then we see their track records throughout the last 4 decades, and there is it's very allegoric question. If your professional business career is paved with collaboration with people who have been loyal to the communist system, to the communist regime, you have been working with them throughout the privatization process, where a lot of money and they reshaped the whole industry. And I think there are many similarities to here. If you work with them for your whole professional life, I don't think that at the end of this process you are becoming someone else, or you are representing different opinions or different narratives than what is the interest of the continuity of the system, or people who manage to get access to the capital and institutions, and basically these people have been always 2 steps ahead, because they had already the access to the capital in the early 90s. They had the infrastructure of companies created in 80s and 90s, so they were simply ahead, and they created a structure so that it's very hard to track who is behind. And actually, this is not important. This is not important who is behind, or to point to people, because after extensive research and consultations with the archive material, I don't think that there is a need of pointing to certain people, because they are not relevant anymore. They are, as the generation comes, the new generation comes, they are simply changing. The faces are the faces are replaced, and they are not capable, or they are not in position of shaping the narrative in terms of something long-standing, anything that would be significantly new, or significantly like a breakthrough, or some idea that would make the system, or the political and public space enriched, or with something that would be followed, because it's not their interest. It's not the interest to create something new, because they know that their lifespan is simply limited to the certain time period. But what is, and now and of course they support political parties, they support independent media, so-called independent media. So they create, they give a support to the newly established media, so that they can operate, they can demonstrate the activity. And of course, it's not that they are calling to the editor-in-chief saying you can't write this, you can't write that, but creating certain narrative that this is not smart. Let's put it like that. So this is not the way that there is like here. There is no someone in the position of the true friend of the Czech Macedonian collaboration, who would be shaping as one person, which is very interesting. And knowing the historical, the archive material, knowing the combining with the commercial register, you see the landscape, which is from my point of view, it's extremely valuable to understand the process, not to point to the certain people or to the certain institutions, but to understand the process, how the public demand is created. Through the political parties, through the media, through the philanthropic activities, through support, something that is very catchy and very trendy, as we live in the Instagram, TikTok lifetime.
Not non-stop.
And it's copy paste. You don't have to be. It's not a rocket science to create such a narrative. And and here I'm getting to the point of Ukraine, because there is one really interesting, very interesting case. The year 2022, and I collected the media appearance of 2 philanthropists in the press. Through one service, and it's like roughly 2,000 media appearances in 10 years, from 2014 and 2026. And I looked into what was their perception and then shaping of understanding of Ukraine before 2022. So basically, after annexion of Crimea, seeing that Russia was under sanctions already, the relations were not as, it was not a rosy relationship between the EU and Russia for obvious reasons. But still, it was not and the 2022 brought like significant change in everything, basically, in the whole dynamic. But what is really interesting is that until 2022, the relation or the narratives were about undiscovered economic opportunities, corruptive country yet full of economical collaboration. So supporting the business. So basically, the focus before 2022, it was about the business opportunities. And what has happened after 2022? It's after 2022, we see, of course, something like strategic interest towards Ukraine from the perspective of the Czech Republic, and what we see, what is appearing in 2026 and 2025 and 2026 is there are narratives like civilization continuity between Central Europe and Ukraine, or something like which they called value-based capitalism, or that Ukraine is defending the European civilization, or that it's the proof of human action to support defense of support Ukraine with its defense against the Russian aggression, or solidarity that we need to demonstrate the solidarity we need to demonstrate. Something they call it like strategic resistance against authoritarianism. So suddenly, after 2022, we see this, like, of course it's understandable. The whole media space has been shaped with this emotional narratives, creating some kind of connection between Central Europe or Czech Republic and Ukraine. But what has changed? The war created a space for this kind of narratives. It created a space where these narratives are simply way more better to be solved, and that the society is in a way empathetic towards Ukraine, to accept that we Czechs or the Czech Republic is supportive towards Ukraine, we are providing some sort of assistance, but at the same time, and this is very strange, that the assistance as such is one of the definitely not the top ranked when it comes to the ratio between the assistance or the aid to Ukraine and the GDP is far away from being the top ranked within the European Union. On the contrary, so basically the real assistance is not that big. It's the political support, which is being understood, let's say, in the Czech context. But it's we don't see anything materializing. We don't see any significant improvement of, let's say, even like tectonic moves of the Czech economy, Czech society, or Czech politics towards Ukraine. Something more that would go beyond, let's say, the words. And which in my point here, this the 2022, the beginning of the aggression, is very nicely demonstrating the dynamic, and is demonstrating the need of having such a narratives, because it is very easy to be created, there is full spectrum of institutions or supportive structure to create this narrative. And then the question is, what is the next one? What is the follow-up of this created emotional demand for these narratives? What is the purpose of? I don't think there is any significant purpose in that, but we can ask, what is next? What are the next moves? What are the next steps when it comes to the narratives or the contra narratives? Since we are experiencing, let's say, the kind of setback from the current government that is which is not that much supportive to Ukraine, but still we have very significant this emotional media presence that we are supporting Ukraine as sign of our solidarity, and that the Ukraine is defending the European liberalism, etc. But then we have the contra action, creating the narratives on the very same institutional setup. They are saying, yes, we create the narratives, and the opposition or the right wing says, yes, we have the right to create our own narratives because they are let's say they are equal. We can say that there is the content wise and the structure and justification in some political action or some action that would come with significant, let's say, policy change or the institutional change or whatever can be seen as changing the structure, is not happening, in my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong, but in my opinion, we don't see the change that would create, or that the move that would create some sort of institutional change. What we see is like we are now in the phase when we have two parts of the society fighting with narratives, and we don't see on one hand these people who have been those philanthropists. Of course, they have economic interests in Ukraine. Of course, they have the economic interest in working with Russian entities. Of course, they don't want this to be discussed and revealed in public because they would harm their, let's say their image, the media image. So instead of fighting, or instead of creating a system that would make the society to trust in the institution and the political action towards Ukraine, we are fighting with narratives. We are fighting with the strength of the voice in the media or in the public space. Who wants the bigger? Who is more loudly? Who is more loud? This is, and we are in the situation that 4 years after the beginning of the aggression, that the extent of this, let's say, emotional driven policy is rising. Instead, coming up with, and this obviously creates some social demand or social expectation, or the expectation of society for something. And then I think, and here we can see something similar what has happened here with the French proposal and with the protests in 2021 and 2022 here. There was some sort of demand in the society for something, or for some kind of action, for saying we don't want the proposal, we don't want Bulgarians to dictate us what we should have in the constitution. And there was there was a momentum that kind of evaporated, that have created something that what we see here, like it's total lethargy in the country right now, or since past last elections. There is at the same, so what I see the similarity is that, given the fact that the story of the EU integration has significantly weakened, there is not that much money poured in with the that would have this EU label meaning that we support the EU integration because we know there will be money from the EU. So there is this connection. We are not supporting the money. We are not supporting the EU because we think it's good because we will be more European if we support rhetorically and with no narratives. So at least we know that we support the EU because we know there will be money and we will not be destructive to the whole story. Yes, exactly. So what do we see here, and this little comparison with the Czech Republic, that this very purpose-driven narrative is now in the phase that or the purpose-driven interest towards the either EU enlargement in the case of Macedonia, in the Czech Republic. We see it with anti-Russia policy or with support of Ukraine is getting to some sort of limits where, and this is going back to the beginning, we are in extremely interesting situation whereby we can not predict what happens, but we see that the space has been significantly emptied. And what is extremely interesting to see what might be the political actions, not let's say some institutional like safety. Yes, filling up the narrative with something, with kind of perception of security that we are doing something to protect our citizens. But the big story is not here, neither here nor in the Czech Republic, which is very interesting to see the similarity of the shaping of the narrative, shaping the information space, and if we wanted to, actually, it's very sad to say, but with some certain logical, with some certain, let's say, ideological background, that we see that the narratives are in the way very similar. The narratives are shaped based on the assessing the public demand, and we see that that in both ways it's there is very limited political action, like political and institutional action, because it's not welcomed. So we have the media space, which is interested. It has been always, of course, it has been always like that. But we see that the media space, in a way, it's into some extent, it's little. There are many similarities, the structural similarities between North Macedonia and the Czech Republic, or generally Central Europe, because these things are not, in my opinion, these are not happening in some sort of vacuum. They are happening in the overall story that we are working with narratives. We are building the narratives, and we expect that something will happen out of it, which we don't know what is it, because I suppose that there is. I would be really surprised if there is like real interest to like some sort of strategy. What is about to happen next?
Thank you. Before I open the floor for questions, I want to just not clarify, but tackle some points here. The emptiness of the narrative. Do you think it's something that the political elites are not aware they're doing, because they're not how to say, they're not feeling the EU narrative with nothing, neither economics, neither fighting with the corruption, like in this moment I have this very how to say, very deep feeling that there is no political compass there is no idea what, because I cannot say that the European Union did enough. You know, you have Ursula von der Leyen in the middle of the parliament saying you're not your language is protected, your identity is protected. You know, like, and the very next day you have half of them saying no. You know, like, we're and the political elites are not doing nothing to address that. They're not picking the narratives that their European colleagues are serving them. You know, for example, the largest package from the European Union goes to us this year. Nobody is saying why. You know, like in a marketing standpoint, this is a good talking point. You know, like, I will do that for 7 days. So the European Union is realizing that we are viable, that we have a potential. You know, like, the European Union is giving you the way to shape the narrative if you truly like it. You know,
I think that the biggest difference between Macedonia and let's say in the case of the Czech Republic is the moment or the thing that I started with. That's that the political space, even with the economic space, is not. Let's say we can use the word democratized.
okay.
And it's easier to be to reach certain level of distrust in the society, saying like, yes, we don't need such a narratives, or we don't want. I don't know. I would say differently. There is no need of that. Representatives know that certain significant part of society is on purpose not listening because it's not fighting for certain narratives, because it's not perceived as something relevant. It's a matter of tiredness. It's a matter of seeing that the fight for narrative is not bringing the political change. This is let's say my educated guess here, and knowing that let's say the economic space is still very tightly connected to, let's say, economic interests that welcome the fact that Macedonia is, let's say, fighting against the Europeans, is fighting against the Bulgarians, is fighting against Greeks, against Kosovars, against Albanians, and like this creating of this this sense of we are victims of all around us.
But that is not policy. That isn't either a narrative. You know, like in the case of the Czech Republic.
Just to not to keep your thought. And this is the significant part of society is not interested in fighting for the narrative or creating the narrative, because it's not believing in something coming out of it.
No, but the problem is, but the problem is in the Czech Republic, you said there are two narratives who are fighting each other, who is the louder. But either way, the two narratives have a form. You know, we're doing this for this. We're doing the other narrative for this. There is a clear shape of the narrative.
Yes.
There is not to pervert the word, but there is an ideological background. You know,
in a way, yes.
In a way, but here you don't have a thing. You know, it's so empty that it's a pure populism, which is like reflective of something. You know, like we have political elites who are judiciary experts. you know, like they're forgetting that there is a separation of power, for example, you know.
Yes.
Either way, okay, we don't want the European Union. It's okay, it's a fair standpoint, you know. If there is a narrative, contra-narrative, we don't like the European Union. Okay, what is our strategy then? We don't have either one. We want the European Union, but we don't want the European. You know, it's
No.
that is the problem is that there is nothing that we can catch, physically catch, in the idea why this is shaping like this.
So, well, I see here two elements. The first is, you know, the easiest way, and I think if I were in power now, the simplest and the easiest and the cheapest way is to playing this the role of victim. And I think, you know, Macedonia has a very good
Track record
of, you know, playing the victimhood, because, you know, it works. There have been good times, and we are sticking to those good times. We are forgetting that we have been, you know, in a way, the protectorate run ruled by Serbs who were definitely not protective of the Macedonian identity, but we are forgetting about this part because we were economically better off. And we are sticking to that as something as, yeah, wherever you go and you speak to ethnic Macedonians, especially the Macedonians, 8 out of 10 response you will get, yes, we are victims of whatever you can call. You will do this victimhood is very, very, it's perverse to say, but it's very smart political strategy. It's very cheap in a way. You don't have to pay, you don't have to build up the media, you will just, you know, little play with this narrative. And the second, the content, you know, the content is the safe city, I think, you know. It's the, like, again, if you talk to people, you know, in our, let's say, social bubble, who is concerned about the data protection? Like, how many people out of, like, 1 out of 10 is concerned about data protection? On the contrary, like, people are praising that there is, you know, more, you know, security, or that the cities are, you know, safer in a way. So the mean is, yes, we are protecting the citizens. We are creating some, you know, sense of security. We are providing the citizens security that is very, very personal. So, but this is a very handy political tool. And that's very long, because then you can say, yes, we start with the speeding and the red lights. Now will be extended to the to parking in the, like, the wrong parking and the crossroads, and you can play with this safe city concept with the narrative of providing security and safety for the whole terrible.
Yeah, but you use
yes, yeah, and it's very cheap.
No, okay, but using your example, what they are doing is contra to that. You don't have the security if you are not knowing what is your strategy. What is your strategy as a citizen here? You know, like, you're seeing your government not knowing what is doing. You know, you cannot feel safe.
But do they want to win the next elections? That's the strategy.
Okay, but that is not a state strategy. It's something that nobody is interested in that, you know.
But at the same time, again, this is only my educated guess. If you go on the streets, and what is the demand of people for having a state strategy? I think the government knows very well what it's doing, because they know that there is no need of having such a, you know, substantive strategy. And again, very pervert.
Yeah, no,
not very positive, yes.
But okay. We have opened the discussion. Is there any question from the panel, the online panel?
I have a question. Means the national service, national broadcasting service.
Yes.
I didn't understand why.
So the Czech TV and the Czech radio are basically there. It's the concept of the public, something like very simplified public good, so that every citizen is paying. It's like €2 or between
It was the same
per
in
month.
Slovenia, yes.
Macedonia, like 10 years ago. There were so many protests. Also, there were protests against church values, traditional values, and LGBTI versus protests and contra protests.
Yeah, you hear about it.
Yeah,
Which is in
it was the same. I felt like deja vu. Sorry.
no,
It's over 10 years ago.
but this is what something similar what Risto said. It's like yes, now we have the battlefield of narrative. So every part of the society feels the same right to protest against its particular interest, and this particular interest is very let's say nicely shaped because it has been filled up with this interest for decades. And the shapers of the narratives are, I don't want to say that the communist state security is, still running the show, but it's not. Again, it's not the people. It's again a very handy situation that you have. Everybody created its own, space, its own battlefield, and according to the political demands, some battlefields want to get a little bigger on the contra the others. So, for example, there was 2 weeks ago, there was last week, there was Czechoslovakia expelled 3 million Germans after the end of the Second World War because of the. They said it was the Second World War. Personally, I don't agree with this, but okay, it happened. I can't do much about it. And the Germans who have been expelled from Czechoslovakia, they in the 50s, in early 50s, they got organized in some, it's all called Sudet German Association. And they, every year, they have in Germany, primarily Bavaria, they have this yearly gathering of, in a way, Czech Germans nostalgically thinking or remembering how it was and how we are shaping our political interest, because it was people who went primarily to Bavaria, which Bavaria very much economically benefited with, BMW with economic growth after the Second World War. And it was the anniversary 50 gathering of this assembly. For the first time, it happened outside Germany. It happened in Brno, which is my city of origin. And suddenly, so first of all, I don't understand why it was happening in Brno. First of all, like if it was about the political action, symbolically very nice move, excellent. Politically, they should be invited, the representatives of the Czech government, which were not there. Okay, but this is like the matter of the political strategy. But the reaction on this, right-wing political spectrum creating an issue out of something that is, not relevant, politically dead, totally outdated. Just that they sense that there is a demand for this kind of sentiments. It's totally ridiculous. Like people who have zero connections to the topic, they are not threatened. They don't have any threat of their property, of their rights. We are members of nothing.
They're not demanding nothing.
They are not demanding nothing. And the second day, people who are protesting against that, it's the emptiness of policy, yet handy for the narrative. Okay, so and then we will be now, jumping from this battlefield to battlefield, yet realizing that, let's say, the liberal force is equally empty as the others, which is, to find out is not something that we would be happy for after 40 years of transformation.
Thank you, Michal. Is there any more question, or we can close this session?
I'll ask him more informal.
Thank you. Thank you once again. Thank you all. We are having a coffee break now, and we are continuing at